Hello student. In the previous session, we discussed that what is RMI, what is distributed computing, and how you can use distributed computing or distributed application using RMI or Java application. So this is the basic introduction of the RMI. Now we move on to the RMI architecture. So when the any application is built up using RMI, then how it works and what are the different layers are there and how data is transmitted from one system to another is defined using RMI architecture. So RMI architecture defines the how the client requests to the server for the remote objects and how the server process that request, and it is defined by this architecture. So as you see in figure that there are two systems are there, and in these two different JVMs are there. So one system is considered as the client object or client system, second is the server object or server system. Now at the client side, there is the object remote object reside. We consider it as a stub object, and it is connected with remote reference layer, and that remote reference layer is connected with transport layer, and after transmit the data through the network, it is again sent back to the server side, and at the server side there are also transport layer are there. Then it is connected with remote reference layer, and it is connected with skeleton object or remote object that is reside at the server side, and that object is connected with the server system or JVM. So this is the basic layers, or we can say that the basic components are there in RMI architecture. So when we discuss about the RMI architecture, it is generally divided into four layers: application layer, stub or skeleton layer, or we can say that proxy layer, and third one is remote reference layer and the transport layer. So these all four layers are divided into each other, and it is worked with connected with each other. So the system is built in like architecture, and when the data is transmitted, all the layers are in individual to each other. So when the data is transmitted, you see that the data is transferred from one layer to another, and the all layer done their task and add some information, or we can say that role is fulfilled by each layer. So this is done by the RMI architecture. Second, we say that when you use Java language, there is the one most advantage thing is that the garbage collection. So garbage collection is advantage of Java language, and RMI also support garbage collection. So there are different advantages when you use RMI application. So generally the RMI application is built on using Java language. So it is basically that all the features that Java prefers that you can use in RMI also. Then RMI registry is there. So what is the RMI registry? It is just simply tracks the addresses of the remote objects that are being exported by the application and the name of the remote objects. When as you see in figure that there are different objects are there. So there are different in the different systems. It contains one remote objects, and this remote objects is used for the communication from one system to another, or from one JVM to another JVM. So the name of that object, the address or remote or the reference of that object is stored, and that is task is done by the RMI registry. So the main task of the RMI registry is to just keep track or to log to generate a log of that this remote objects that is considered for the remote communications. So this way you can see that the RMI architecture is built. And now we discuss the different layer individually. So first one is that application layer. So all the layers in the RMI architecture is independent, and the functionality is depends on that layer that we transfer the data from one layer to another. So this functionality like establish connection, assemble and disassemble parameter, and the transmitting object, that all the task is done by this four layer. So when you see that first layer is an RMI architecture is application layer. So application layer consists of a client side and server side Java program with remote objects. So when you create any application, this application contains one objects. We consider this as a remote objects. And when you consider any client side application or any server side system, both this side there is a application or remote objects are there, which is used to communicate. So in the application layer, this remote object is consistent. uh, Client can access remote methods through an interface that extends java.rmi.remote. So you can see that remote methods are executed using the RMI remote interface. For when you use RMI application, so the RMI.remote interface is used, and once the method described in remote interface have been implemented, the object must be exported using unicast remote object class of the java.rmi server package. So when you access that remote methods, and it is the described in the remote interface, so for that remotely access this methods, unicast remote object is used, and it is defined in the java.rmi.server package. So application so after applying this unicast remote object, RMI registry registered that unicast remote object and contain the reference of that remote object. While at the client side, you simply request a remote object from either registry or remote object whose reference has already been obtained. So we just simply say that when you want to just request any method, or when you want to call any method, then after you just have to call that remote object. So at that time, remote object is send a reference, that is a unicast remote object, and it is stored by the RMI registry. So whenever you want to fetch that particular data, or whenever you want to fetch that particular method or call the method, then you just have to contact the RMI registry, and you can get that remote object. So this is the task is done by the application layer. Now second layer is proxy layer. Proxy layer, or we also can say that stub or skeleton layer, because in the stub and skeleton layer there are two objects, that is the stub and the skeleton, that is the remote object of the client and server side. So stub skeleton layer is responsible for listening to the remote method calls made by client and redirecting them to the server. So the method calling that is done by the remote object is fetched by that stub or skeleton objects, and this layer consists of a stub and skeleton layer. So the stub and skeleton are created using RMI compiler, that is known as a RMIC. So it is that RMIC compiler to done by the execution is done by that stub and skeleton. So stub is a client-side proxy representing the remote objects and communicates the method invocation to the remote object through a skeleton, and that is implemented on the server. So you can say that at the client side, one proxy remote object is generated, and that is used to fetch the data from the server side, or the method calling or the request that is done by the server side. So this stub is performed by or work as a proxy object, while at the skeleton it is also a proxy object, or we can say that proxy layer consists proxy side server side proxy object that communicates with the stub, and it makes a call to remote objects, so it is also known as proxy layer. So via through stub and skeleton you can communicate to from client side to server and server side to client side. So it is that's why it is known as proxy objects, or proxy remote objects. So when the RMI compiler works, so you just have to define that RMIC, you just have to use in command prompt that RMI compiler, and for that there are different options are available, that how you can call that methods using stub and skeleton. So for that syntax is RMIC options and class name. So in which way you want to call that method, or in which class. So there's two parameters you have to pass. There are different options are available that you have to keep or keep generated more. So in this it is written the Java source file for stub and skeleton or classes, and written them to the same directory as the .class file. Then second is v1.1 and v1.2. So you can see that that way the stub and skeleton is generated. So to create stub or skeleton for JDK 1.1 sub protocol version, this stub and skeleton is created using RMIC or RMI compiler. Then if you use G option, then it is defined that it is generate the debugging information. If you use depend option, then recompile out of data files recursively. If you use now on, then it is no generate no warning. It means that there is a no warning is generated when you or any error is occurred. Then verbose, then it means that output message about compiler what is going doing. So so you see that it display the output message when the compiler is being processed. Then you can set the class file class path. Then you have to specify the directory there, where you want to reside that stub or skeleton file. And last one is the runtime flag that pass the argument to the Java interpreter. So these are all the options when you create a stub and skeleton. So using to create for the creation RMIC is used, and you can use different options to create that stub and skeleton. Next is remote reference layer. It is an interface between proxy layer and transport layer. So it handles actual communication protocol. A remote reference layer interprets the reference made by the client to the remote object on the server, and it presents on client and server side. So remote reference layer on client receives the request from the method which is directed from the stub object, and this request is transferred to the remote reference layer on the server side. So this thing is the virtually, so client side remote reference layer and the server side remote reference layer are virtually connected. So when the request is made through the stub, it is transferred to the RRL, and RRL transmitted this request to the server side RRL. This RRL is used to handle replicated objects. So once the feature is incorporated into RMI system, the replicated object will allow simple dispatch to other programs. So it handles that if any duplicate object or replica is generated, then it is handled by the RRL also. And it is also responsible for establishing persistence and strategies for recovery of lost connection. So when if any exception is occurred, or any situation is generated there when the server is not server is not connected, or the connection is lost, then at the same time RRL is also helps to establish the correct connection, or the persistency is maintained by the RRL. Then the next is transport layer. So transport layer takes path of the communication or layer between client and server, and it receives request from the client side RRL and establish a connection with the server through server side RRL. So this is the task is done when you establish a connection from the client side and the server side. It is responsible for handling actual machine to machine communication, and default communication is done by the TCP IP protocol. RRL is done virtual communication, while the actual communication is done by the transport layer using any protocol or any transfer protocol. It creates a stream that is accessed by RRL to send and receive data from other machines, and it set up the connection to remote machine and manage that connection. So when you connect with other remote system physically, then at that time transport layer is coming picture, and it maintains that all the connections which is connected between client and server system, and it also makes sure that the connection is always alive when you communicate with the remote system. So this all the task is done by the transport layer. uh, these are the four layers are defined in the RMI architecture, that application layer, then proxy layer, then remote reference layer, and the transport layer. These four the layers are used to communicate with remote system, and it is independent with each other. So it is work easily, and you don't have to largely maintain these layers, because each layer performs independently from each other. So when you work with a remote reference object, then you have to just store the all the remote reference object and the name of that object, or the address or reference of this object, that at which place that reference object is resides. So that is task is done by the RMI registry. RMI registry is nothing but a namespace on which all server objects are placed. So whenever the request is done by the client side, it just have to connect with the RMI registry, and RMI registry give the appropriate remote reference object of the server which satisfied that client request. So each time the server creates an object, and it registers this object by the with the RMI registry using bind or rebind methods. So these are the registered using a unique name known as a bind name. So in this figure you see that client invokes the method using the fetched object, and what is the basic task is done whenever the server creates any remote object, or we can say that whenever the server is ready to serve the request which is come from the client, it creates one object that is defined as the remote object, or we can say that skeleton. That remote object or remote reference object is stored in RMI registry. So to store this object, there is a bind method or a rebind method is used. Using bind and rebind method, it can store that remote reference object in RMI registry. So whenever the client sends a request of that particular method, or any particular resources, so it first of all look up for the RMI registry, or using lookup method to find out that if any appropriate remote reference object is available or not, who fulfill that request, or who fulfill that services. So client send a request to the RMI registry using lookup method, and RMI registry fetch this request, and if any appropriate reference object is available for the client, then it send that reference to the client, and then after client client approach that server and invokes the method using that remote objects. So this thing is, or this process is done via RMI registry when the client and server communicate with each other using distributed computing. So to invoke the remote object, clients needs a reference of that object, and at that time the client fetches the object from the RMI registry using its bind name, or we can say that lookup method. So this is the task is done by the RMI registry. In the RMI communication or RMI application, RMI registry is the most important part from most important part to communicate from client to the server. So this is the all the thing when you work with the RMI architecture, or when you work with the RMI registry. So uh, if you want to communicate from client to server in distributed architecture, you first have to create client side remote object and the server side remote object, and the server side remote object is stored in the RMI registry. So whenever the request is generated, or whenever the request is made, the client usually contact with RMI registry and ask for that remote reference object which is stored in the server. So that's all the thing is done by the RMI.